The toilet rat finally came out with a statement the other day of his opinion of the hundreds of thousands of us, or maybe it was over 1 million, I'm not sure, who demonstrated against this filthy bastard last Saturday. He was asked by one of the rats on the Fox sewer, quote, what do you think the protesters want? What do you think they need right now from you? That was a question from something called a Harris Faulconer, who dwells in the Fox sewer. Here's Trump's answer, verbatim. This was posted on what the hell? No, I'm not going to move on until Instagram. I hate brain farts. Jesus, I hate them. Anyway, this was on Instagram. Here is what the toilet rat said, quote, protesters for different reasons. You're protesting also because, they just don't know. I watched very closely. Why are you here? They really weren't able to say, but they were there for a reason, perhaps. But a lot of them really were there because they're following the crowd. A lot of them were there because what we witnessed was a terrible thing. What we saw was a terrible thing. And we've seen it over the years. We haven't, this was one horrible example, but you've seen other terrible examples. You know that better than anybody who would know it. And I know it. I've seen it too. I've seen it before I was president. I've seen it. I think it's a shame. I think it's a disgrace, and it's got to stop. End quote. You nasty son of a bitch. Jesus Christ. I've seen them before. A lot of them were there because we witnessed a terrible thing. Jesus Christ. If I were to just go along with this religious horseshit, the Christian branch of the religious horseshit, I would just ask, what in the fuck have we done to piss off the supreme being, the hairy thunderer, the cretin that sits on a throne up in the clouds? What the hell did we do to make him decide, well, it's time to really fuck over America? But I'm not part of that cult of bullshit. Let me just go down a list here of things that have happened in the past 24, 48 hours that this toilet rat has done to this country. It's just ongoing. And by the way, I don't know what the stock market, the New York Stock Exchange, I don't know what the Dow Jones averages wound up today. And frankly, I don't give a shit. Because that's not an indicator of the mood of the United States. It's an indicator of the fast buck artists who drive the price down. Buy up. Drive the price up. Sell. It's an old game, but it still works. So, I really don't give a shit. I don't know what it was today. But anyway, U.S. Navy Vice Admiral Shoshana Chatfield, U.S. Navy Vice Admiral, the only woman on NATO's military committee, our part of it, I think, maybe the entire NATO military committee. Anyway, over this weekend, the toilet rat fired her. They fired her. No reason given. Officials said, according to the Associated Press, it was apparently tied to comments she has made that supported diversity in the U.S. Navy. You see where we're going. According to these officials, they are unnamed. I have no idea who they are. But Admiral Chatfield got a call from Admiral Christopher Grady, the acting chairman of the Joint Chiefs, and she was told that the toilet rat wanted to go in a different direction with her job. A different direction. Okay. The officials who the AP quotes said they believe the decision was made last week by this drunk fucking rapist, Pete Hegseth, who is now the defense secretary of the great United States. His decision, but it was unclear whether he got that direction from the toilet rat. And count them, three U.S. officials spoke about the firing to the AP on the condition that they were granted anonymity because blah, blah, blah. Anyway, Admiral Chatfield is the third top female officer to be fired by the toilet rat since he took office. Trump cannot stand women who have power. He can't stand women anyway. He's such a misogynistic prick, capital P-R-I-C-K. But women of power, whether they are attorneys, prosecutors, in the military, in business, in education, doesn't matter. Unless they will bow down in front of him and do what he likes the most from his female subjects, which is to kiss his, ring. Anyway, the drunk who heads up the Defense Department announced a month or so ago that he was firing the Chief of Naval Operations, Admiral Lisa Franchetti, and then the toilet rat fired the Coast Guard Commandant, Admiral Linda Fagan, a day after he was sworn in. Got to get rid of the bitches, right, Donnie? Got to get rid of the bitches. So these two slum dwellers, the toilet rat and the drunk, have been very vocal in their insistence that so-called woke policies in the U.S. military are a thing of the past. No more woke. And there has been this insane campaign by these two jackoffs to remove leaders who at any time in their careers have tried to promote diversity or equity or inclusion. And at the same time, the toilet rat and his drunk sidekick have decided to erase DEI programs and online content that talks about diversity, equity, and inclusion. Anything connected with the toilet rat's administration that mentions those three words, they might have been words like fuck Jesus and the Virgin Mary. Well, that's how he's reacting. So, Admiral Chatfield was on a list of senior military officers targeted as being woke by a group of American Nazis who go under the heading of the American Accountability Foundation. They sent, or somebody in this filthy Nazi organization sent a letter to the drunk who heads the Defense Department. And the letter said that, quote, purging the woke from the military is imperative, end quote. Admiral Chatfield, who's a Navy helicopter pilot, she also commanded a joint reconstruction team in Afghanistan. She's been serving as one of the 32 representatives on NATO's military committee. And apparently, the AP was right. She's the only woman military officer who served on that committee. That panel, the NATO's military committee, that's the primary source of military advice to the North Atlantic Council and to NATO's nuclear planning group. And that organization, the North Atlantic Council, it serves as the link between the political decision makers and NATO's military structure. Whew. So Trump has her fired. Senator Mark Warner, Democrat from Virginia, said he was, quote, deeply disturbed by the firing. In a post on Trump's filthy, I'm sorry, not Trump's, but the South African Nazis' filthy social media platform, Senator Warner wrote, quote, Trump's relentless attacks on our allies and his careless dismissal of decorated military officials makes us less safe and weakens our position across the world, end quote. People are making this very clear. Military officers, especially retired, who can't be fucked with by the drunk or by the toilet rat, political leaders, experts on the tension on this planet right now among the various and disparate national groups. The point is being made that the tension is developing to the point where there is going to be some sort of a rupture or an explosion or something vile. Now, that doesn't come from me. I would rather just run away from that kind of shit. I don't want to hear it because, was it Einstein who said the next war will be fought with nuclear weapons and the one after that will be fought with rocks and sticks? I digress. Anyway, this campaign put together by the sewer rat and the drunk to erase all DEI programs in the military and online has been met with questions from lawmakers and local leaders and citizens who are pissed off because military heroes are being removed from any kind of public mention. And wait till I tell you who the latest to be removed. Oh, Jesus Christ. But anybody who has displayed courage and leadership and honor, who happens to be a person of color or a woman associated with the Department of Defense, is having his or her bio, picture, history scrubbed, removed, taken away by the drunk and the toilet rat. Oh, my God. That group of fucked up Nazis, the, what are they called? The American Accountability Foundation. Oh, you, Jesus, you corruptors. But that foundation complained in their letter to the drunk that people responsible for these DEI policies, quote, must be dismissed. And the Accountability Foundation, this Nazi organization, added that military leaders under the drunk's command have got to be focused on cultivating lethality, death, destruction, chaos, murder, mayhem. That's supposed to be the focus of the U.S. military, not diversity, equity, and inclusion in the ranks. Oh, fuck no. So I guess that what that means, and I don't have to guess, go too far outside the lines to guess this, but that means all white, dumb males in the ranks, and the leadership will be white, not quite so dumb, stupid fucking leaders who will listen to the drunk and listen to the toilet rat and do exactly as they're told. That's what the American Accountability Foundation is aiming toward. Now, the letter that was about Admiral Chatfield, the notice that she was terminated, the letter said Chatfield committed a horrible sin. What she did, she posted supportive comments on LinkedIn about a diversity summit, and she gave a speech 10 years ago at the Women's Equality Day. 10 years ago. This group of Nazis quoted her as saying that investing in empowering women can unlock human potential. So the white boy fuckwads who make up the Accountability Foundation decided, oh, no. Bitch, shut up. Sit down. You're fired. And they also said in the letter that she was quoted as saying, quote, our diversity is our strength, end quote, which, by the way, is a phrase that the drunk who heads the Defense Department constantly chokes on. This little fucker can't stand that. Diversity is our strength. Jesus Christ. Now, in my opinion, another reason Admiral Chatfield was fired was because, first of all, she graduated from Boston University. If you know about Boston University, you know it's one of the toughest universities in the country. She got her master's degree from Harvard and a doctorate from the University of San Diego. Well, there you go. The ignorant savage the sick fucker who now runs the United States and is destroying everything he can get his tiny little grubby mitts on, hates people with that kind of an education, any education beyond maybe high school. He hates them because he is so goddamn ignorant. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. You know, the Progressive Voices Network brings you commercial-free commentary from today's leading progressive radio hosts and pundits, like me, Mike Malloy, 24 hours a day. I'm not your typical old guy from the 80s or the 90s talk radio host, and Progressive Voices is not your typical talk radio network. It's a listener-supported nonprofit with no corporate control whatsoever over our broadcast. So hosts like me, Mike Malloy, are free to rant and scream and carry on about whatever we like. We're often controversial, but we're never boring. Weeknights, 9 p.m. in the East, 6 p.m. in the West on the Progressive Voices Network. Always progressive, always on. I'm Mike Malloy. Keep it lit.